The rain came down like the sky itself was weeping. Thick, cold drops slapped against the windows of Noren's old cabin deep in the woods, far from the city's chaos. Noren lived a quiet life. He liked it that way, just his books, his tools, and the silence. The world didn't ask anything from him, and he didn't ask anything back. But tonight, the silence was broken. A crash echoed through the trees, followed by a strange pulse in the air, like thunder, but deeper, alive somehow. Noren sat up from his chair near the fireplace, heart pounding. He grabbed his coat, pulled on his boots, and stepped outside. What he saw was not a fallen tree or a broken machine. It was a ship. Half buried in the muddy ground, it glowed with a soft silver light. Its shape was smooth, not like any aircraft he'd ever seen, and lying next to it, slumped in the wet grass, was a figure, a woman, or at least she looked like one. Her skin shimmered pale gold, her hair long and glowing faintly with violet strands, and her eyes, even as they fluttered open in pain, were a deep green that seemed to hold entire galaxies. She looked up at him with fear, then confusion, then hope. Noren knelt beside her, unsure what to say. "You okay?" he asked, voice softer than the storm around them. She winced. "Injured. But more than that. I need help. Please." Her voice was musical, otherworldly. But there was something else in it. Desperation. "I'll help you," he said, gently lifting her into his arms. She was light, fragile. He carried her back to his cabin, laying her on the couch by the fire. She stared at him like she'd never seen anything like him before. "My name is Noren," he said. "You crashed. You're safe now." She took a shaky breath. "I am Queen Virelli, of the Zyari Dominion. I did not mean to bring war to your world. I only sought refuge." He blinked. "Queen? Your royalty?" She gave the smallest nod. "My people were betrayed. My blood, it carries the core of our survival. But it's failing. Only one kind of blood can repair it." Her gaze met his, full of quiet urgency. Noren didn't understand, but he nodded. "Whatever it is, I'll help." Virelli reached out, her fingers brushing his arm. A soft glow passed from her touch to his skin. "You," she whispered, voice shaking. "Your blood. It's the one, the only one. How?" Noren was stunned. He wasn't special. He lived alone. He had no family, no past that stood out. "I don't know." Her eyes filled with tears, not from sorrow but relief. "You are the answer, Noren. I don't want to hurt you, but I need you. Your blood. Just a little." He hesitated, then gave a small smile. "If it'll save you, take what you need." She looked at him with something more than gratitude. There was a deep softness behind her alien features, something like admiration, maybe even the start of something more, and for the first time in years, Noren felt alive. The fire crackled softly as the storm raged outside. Virelli sat curled on the couch, her strange clothes torn and soaked. Noren handed her a thick blanket and a warm mug of tea. She sniffed it cautiously, then sipped. Her expression softened, and a tiny smile touched her lips. "This is pleasant," she murmured. "Chamomile," Noren replied, sitting across from her. "Helps calm the nerves." Her eyes lingered on him, thoughtful and intense. "You are different from what I expected, kind, gentle." He rubbed the back of his neck, a little embarrassed. "I don't get many visitors." Virelli watched the flames for a moment. "You should know. I didn't lie. Your blood carries something my kind believed extinct, an energy we call Solari essence. It's rare, powerful. My people once used it to heal, to grow, even to protect entire planets. Without it, We wither. Norin leaned forward, curiosity tugging at him. But why me? She looked at him, eyes softening. I don't know. Maybe fate. Maybe the universe finally gave us hope, in the shape of you. Norin felt heat rise to his cheeks. No one had ever said something like that to him before. Not, "With such meaning, I'm just a man in a cabin," he said, chuckling lightly. "Not some hero." "Sometimes," Varelli said gently, "heroes don't wear crowns. They offer blankets and tea and kindness." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It felt warm, like a fragile thread was growing between them. Then, gently, she held out a small, glowing device, slender and delicate like her. "This will extract only what I need. A few drops, nothing more." Norin nodded. "Do it." She pressed the device against his arm. It gave a soft hum, and a faint warmth spread through his veins. For a second, he felt light, like his body was being touched by starlight itself. The device beeped. She pulled it away, holding it reverently. "It's enough. For now." As she looked at the glowing vial, her eyes shimmered with quiet joy. Then she looked at him again. "You saved me, more than you know." Norin offered a shy smile. "Guess I'll add alien lifesaver to my resume." She laughed, a real, soft, musical laugh that made his heart flutter. "Your humor is strange, but I like it." Time passed, the storm slowly easing. Varelli's strength seemed to return little by little. Her golden skin regained its glow. Her movements were smoother, less pained. She even helped him make dinner, curious about every spice and texture. "This food," she said as she bit into a simple grilled vegetable, "tastes like sunshine. Do all humans eat like this?" He grinned. "Some do. Most prefer takeout." "Take out?" "Long story," he said, chuckling. That night she stood by the window, looking at the sky. Norin joined her, hands in his pockets. Her voice was soft, thoughtful. "I've seen hundreds of worlds, Norin, but none of them smelled like rain. None of them had skies that sang when the wind passed through trees. And none of them had someone like you." He turned to her, startled by the raw emotion in her tone. She looked at him, eyes shining. "I wasn't supposed to fall to your world," she whispered. "But now, I'm glad I did." And before he could respond, she reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were warm, gentle, and when they touched, something electric moved between them. "I don't know what's ahead," she said, "but I want to stay, for now, with you." Norin didn't speak. He simply held her hand tighter, and they watched the stars together, silent but connected. Something had begun. Something neither of them understood, but neither wanted to let go. The morning sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light across the forest. Mist clung to the trees like a secret. Norin woke to the scent of something warm and sweet. Not coffee, not tea, something different. He blinked and sat up, stretching. In his small kitchen, Varelli stood barefoot, wearing one of his oversized shirts, sleeves rolled up clumsily. She had found a way to use his stovetop, cooking a strange mix of his ingredients and a tiny glowing pouch from her ship. "Hope this is edible," she said with a grin. "I combined human food with my nourishment packs. It might heal or explode." Norin laughed, stepping beside her. "If I'm not glowing by noon, we'll call it a win." They sat at the little table. The food tasted surprisingly good, savory, rich, and just a little sweet. Varelli's eyes lit up as he ate, clearly proud. "I studied Earth languages for years before I came," she said between bites, "but nothing prepared me for the way food makes humans feel." He nodded. "It's more than taste. It's memory, comfort. It's the thing we share, even with strangers." Varelli smiled softly. "Then I'm glad I could share this with you." Their eyes met. A quiet moment passed between them. After breakfast, she returned to her ship, now partly repaired with a shimmer field protecting it. Norin followed, watching as she opened a panel and pulled out a large, glowing crystal. It pulsed weakly. "This is a core shard from my capital's heartstone," she explained. "It holds the memories of my people, every queen before me. But it's dying, just like I was. Your blood. It gave it life again." The shard responded to her voice, pulsing brighter. Norin reached out, fascinated. "It's beautiful. It's sacred," she whispered. "And it listens. It has started recording you." His brow rose. "Me?" She nodded. "You saved the last of our legacy. It wants to remember you." That strange warmth filled his chest again. He'd never been remembered by anyone. Never. Thought he mattered beyond the woods he lived in. But here he was, being carved into alien memory. Later they walked by the river near his cabin. The forest was calm, birds singing as if nothing unusual had happened. Virelli held her arms out, catching a breeze in her open palms. "There's freedom here," she said, eyes closed. "No crowns, no war, just sky and sound." He smiled. "You could stay." She turned to him slowly, expression unreadable. "You don't mean that." "I do." "You don't understand what I am, Norin. I'm not just royalty. I'm marked. My enemies will follow. I may bring danger." He stepped closer. "Then let them come. You won't face it alone." Something cracked in her expression, like a wall falling. She looked at him, truly looked. "You say that so easily." "Because I mean it." She reached up, touching his face. Her fingertips were warm, almost trembling. "You're not just human," she murmured. "You're something else, something rare. Your blood carries more than power. It carries heart." And before he could say anything, she leaned in. Her lips brushed his gently, soft, unsure, but real. It wasn't fire or thunder. It was light rain in the first warmth of spring. It was two lonely beings meeting in the middle of everything strange. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. "If I stay as myself. Not a queen, just Virelli," he whispered. "Then stay as her." She smiled. And this time, it reached all the way to her soul. But far above them, in the dark sky beyond stars, something stirred. Something that had been hunting her across galaxies. The peace of Earth wouldn't last forever. But for now, it held them close. Two hearts beating quietly in the wild. Days passed in a quiet rhythm that Norin had never known before. Virelli was no longer just a stranger he had found in the woods. She had become something essential to his life. Her presence filled the cabin with a warmth he hadn't realized. It lacked her laughter, her curiosity about Earth, her gentle touch when she reached out to him. It was strange, though. The more he got to know her, the more he realized how little he understood about her world, her people, and the power within her blood. She had shared the barest details of the Ziari Dominion, how her kind once ruled over vast star systems, how they had been betrayed by those closest to them, how she had barely escaped an assassination attempt. Still, despite everything, she seemed at peace here, as if this small cabin in the woods was an escape from the world she had once known. And Norin couldn't help but feel protective of her, as if the universe had thrown them together for a reason he couldn't explain. It was on a quiet evening, as they sat outside watching the sunset, that the tranquility shattered. A low hum filled the air, deep and vibrating. The sky darkened for a moment, as if a storm was rolling in. Norin stood up, scanning the horizon. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice tight with sudden concern. Virelli's face had gone pale. She stood, slowly, her eyes scanning the skies with a mixture of fear and resolve. "They've found me." Norin's heart raced. "Who? Who's coming?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked toward the edge of the woods, her movements swift and graceful. Norin followed, but something was pulling him back. A cold sensation creeping up his spine. Then he saw it. A massive shadow passed over the trees. A ship, dark and menacing, its engines roaring like a predator in the sky. It hovered above them, blocking the sun with its bulk. Norin's chest tightened. He had no idea what was happening, but he knew one thing. The storm was coming. Virelli turned to him, her expression serious. "Norin, you have to go. Now." "What?" he gasped, moving toward her. "I'm not leaving you." She grabbed his shoulders, her grip tight but not unkind. "This is not your fight. You cannot—" "No," he interrupted, his voice low but firm. "I'm not leaving you. Not again." Her eyes softened for a moment, then hardened again. She glanced toward the ship, her jaw tightening. "They'll come for my blood. For you too, if they know what you've done for me." The ship landed, with a heavy thud, sending dust and leaves flying. The air around them crackled with energy. Virelli stepped back, moving into a defensive stance, her eyes flickering with the faintest glow. She looked at Norin once more. "Stay behind me. Don't get involved. Promise me." He didn't speak. He simply nodded, unwilling to leave her side. The ship's hatch opened with a hiss, and dark figures emerged, tall, armored beings with cold, calculating eyes. They moved with precision, their weapons ready. One of them stepped forward, his voice deep and metallic. "Queen Virelli," he said, his tone carrying a dangerous chill. "You have betrayed us. You will return with us, or we will take what is ours." Virelli stood tall, her shoulders back, not a hint of fear in her voice. "You'll have to kill me first." The figure's eyes flicked to Norin, then back to her. This human. He is the one. He carries what we need. His blood, his essence. It belongs to the Zyari Dominion. Norin's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't understood fully what was happening, what he had done for her. But now it was clear. They weren't just after her, they were after him. Virelli's gaze hardened. "You will not touch him." The figure raised his weapon, pointing it at Norin. "Then he will die." In that moment, everything inside Norin shifted. The cabin, the forest, the world around him. It all felt distant, as if time had slowed to a crawl. He saw Virelli step forward, standing between him and the enemy. Her posture was unyielding, a force of nature, but there was something in her eyes, a warning. She knew what was coming, and then, without warning, everything erupted. Virelli's body glowed with a fierce light, an energy Norin had never seen before. She raised her hand, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. The air hummed, vibrating with raw power. The figure faltered, his weapon falling from his grip as his men took a step back, eyes wide in shock. "No," Virelli said, her voice like thunder. "You will not take him. You will not take anything from me again." The energy in her hands surged, a violent wave of force that struck the enemy with an intensity Norin couldn't comprehend. They were thrown back, their armor cracking under the pressure. It wasn't just physical force. It was something deeper, something primal. Her blood, the Solari essence, was coursing through her, and now it was alive, defending what was hers. The figures fell to the ground, unconscious but alive. Virelli collapsed to her knees, panting heavily. Her glowing aura faded, leaving her looking fragile, human again. Norin rushed to her side, kneeling beside her. "Virelli, are you okay?" She looked up at him, her eyes tired but filled with gratitude. "I told you, you were more than just blood. You gave me strength. but I can't keep fighting forever. He helped her to her feet, his heart pounding in his chest. I won't let you face this alone. She smiled softly, the first true smile he'd seen in days. You never have to. And for the first time, Norin understood the depth of what he had given her. It wasn't just his blood. It was his trust, his heart. He had never known anything like it before. But they were far from safe. The storm had only just begun. The night stretched on in uneasy silence. The ship had left, but the danger was far from over. The figures from the Ziari Dominion were only the beginning. Norin and Varelli sat by the window watching the stars. Their light felt like a distant memory, far away from the threat now looming over them. Varelli's face was drawn with exhaustion, but her eyes still held a flicker of hope. They will return, she said quietly, her voice heavy. My people will not give up easily. Norin's hand found hers, and he squeezed it gently. Then we'll be ready. She looked at him, surprise and something else softening her. Features. You don't understand, Norin. My enemies are vast, and they will stop at nothing to reclaim what they believe is theirs. Your blood is no longer just a gift. It's a weapon, and they will come for it. He shook his head. More determined than ever. If they want it, they'll have to go through me first. Varelli studied him carefully. There was a long pause before she spoke again, her voice low. You don't know what they can do, what they will do. They have armies, technology far beyond anything on Earth. Norin's lips pressed into a firm line. I don't care what they have. I'm not letting you face this alone. A flicker of vulnerability passed through her gaze, and she leaned into him. He pulled her close, wrapping an arm around her shoulders as they sat in the dark cabin. The warmth between them was a quiet comfort, a reminder that despite the chaos, on the horizon there was still something worth protecting. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. I didn't ask for you. But now I can't imagine being anywhere else. Norin's heart thudded in his chest, the weight of her words sinking in. He never expected this, never expected to fall into something so deep, so fast. But here he was, entwined with her in ways that went far beyond the physical. It was something raw, something primal, and he wasn't afraid. I'm glad you didn't, he said softly, kissing her forehead. Because I need you too. She smiled, and, for a brief moment, everything seemed to settle. But it didn't last long. The next day, as the sun rose, Varelli stood at the edge of the forest, her eyes scanning the horizon. The ship had been gone, but the hum of danger lingered in the air. She looked back at Norin, who stood in the doorway of the cabin, watching her, a determined look in his eyes. We need to prepare, she said, her voice steady. They will return, and when they do, we won't be caught off guard. Norin nodded. We'll gather everything we need. I know the land better than anyone. We'll use it to our advantage. Varelli stepped forward, and Norin joined her. They moved together, two beings from entirely different worlds, but with one shared goal. The woods around them were quiet, the kind of quiet that spoke of something hidden, something waiting. Varelli touched the pendant around her neck, a small, iridescent stone that glowed faintly. This is all I have left of my people. It's my last connection to them. I won't let it fall into their hands, Norin promised. The days that followed were a blur of action. They gathered supplies, fortified the cabin, and built traps. Every time they worked together, the connection between them deepened, and with each passing moment, Norin felt more sure of his place in this new world that had been thrust upon him. Varelli's presence became a constant, a reminder that even in the face of an overwhelming enemy, there was something worth fighting for. And then, one evening, the hum returned. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, a low, insistent thrum that vibrated in the air. Varelli stiffened, her eyes narrowing, as she turned toward the sky. They're here, she said, her voice tense. Norin stepped closer to her, ready. "We're ready." The ground beneath them trembled as the ship descended, the same dark silhouette from days before. This time it wasn't alone. Dozens of smaller ships flanked it, like a swarm of predators, closing in on their prey. Virelli didn't hesitate. She turned to Norin, her face fierce. "Stay close. Whatever happens, don't let them take you." He nodded. His pulse raced, but there was no fear in him. Not now, not with her. The ship landed with a violent thud, its engines roaring to a halt. Figures emerged, cloaked in shadows, their footsteps heavy on the ground. But Norin didn't flinch. He stood by Virelli's side, ready for whatever came next. The leader of the group stepped forward, his cold eyes narrowing as he assessed them. "Queen Virelli," he said, his voice cold as ice. "You have run long enough. The Dominion demands your return, and the humans' blood will be ours." Virelli stepped forward, her eyes glowing with power. "You will not take either of us." A tense silence filled the air. The soldiers around them shifted, their weapons aimed. But Norin could feel something within Virelli, something ancient, powerful, stirring in her. She wasn't just the last queen of a fallen empire. She was the last hope of her people, and she wasn't going to let them take that away. With a sudden motion, Virelli raised her hand. The ground cracked beneath them, energy crackling from her fingertips. The soldiers faltered, their expressions betraying shock. "You won't get a second chance," she declared, her voice filled with an unyielding strength. "Not with me, and not with him." The leader hesitated, then nodded to his men. "Take her. The human is of no consequence." Virelli's eyes blazed with fire as she unleashed the full power of her Solari essence. The earth shook, and energy surged outward, throwing the soldiers back. It was like a storm had erupted, powerful and wild. Norin stood beside her, heart racing, knowing he would fight beside her until the very end. In that moment, he realized that what they had wasn't just about survival, it was about something more. A bond that had been forged in the heat of battle, in the quiet moments of tenderness. They had been brought together for a reason, and no force in the universe could tear them apart. As the battle raged on, Norin and Virelli stood together, unbroken. And for the first time in his life, Norin felt truly alive.